Hey all, so the most recent episode of Helluva Boss dropped unexpectedly this weekend, and you know Auntie Haley had to check it out. Whereas I was in a pretty mentally exhausted and preoccupied space when Full Moon dropped, I was a little more mentally free to take in this one, and boy, do I have so many thoughts. But first, if you're new here, I just want to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Haley Z, and I'm a licensed therapist, artist, and voice actress who just loves to yap about indie animation and mental health. So if you like both of those things, you're probably in the right place. And if you don't, I have a cat. So what about this episode? There's a reason I'm going to be titling this video something to the effect of, I don't know, Disorganized Attachment the Musical or whatever I end up using, because what we're seeing here is essentially Blitz's disorganized attachment style in action. And for those of you who are sitting there like,
that was still the gayest thing I've heard all day!
Don't worry, I gotcha. I promise I'll explain what I'm talking about here. See, in psychology, researchers think of humans as generally having one of 4 attachment styles in our relations with other people. There's anxious, avoidant, disorganized, or secure. Most of us are trying so desperately to get to the secure style, but based on our life experiences, we often tend to go with one of the other 3 categories, all of which present their own unique challenges. To save time, we're going to primarily talk about the disorganized style, also known as the fearful avoidance style, if you know it as that. People with disorganized attachment desire closeness with others, but also tend to experience an incredible amount of difficulty in achieving this, as they often don't even feel like they truly deserve love from other people. They often also have difficulty regulating their emotions and tend to lash out at others, variably blaming both themselves and others for their problems. This style is thought to be caused by inconsistent and chaotic caregiving during a person's formative years, and thus an abusive childhood will often lead to a disorganized, attached adulthood. Does this sound familiar to any of us yet? While it can be argued that both Blitz and Stolas have exhibited disorganized attachment throughout their time on our beautiful YouTube screens, it's clear that this episode is largely focused on how Blitz's actions have impacted others. In the beginning of the episode, we see Blitz rolling up to Stolas's like we didn't just have the fucking bombshell of a last episode we had, talking about memes and shit. We then see him curse out Stolas when Stolas isn't taking the sex bait and vowing to start his apology tour just to spite Stolas. Or so he wants us to think. During Blitz's apology tour, we see him give half-assed apologies to all of the most random-ass people you can imagine. Though, side note, Martha and Miss Mayberry being together was a very cool thing. I loved that so much. And then he ends up at Verosika Mayday's anti-Blitzo party, a yearly literal bash designated for his exes to hate on him, which, by the way, Stolas, of course, got invited to. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the episode. While Blitz is brilliant to disguise, I mean, look at this thing. No one could ever possibly know that it's him. Gets him unnoticed by most people. He ends up watching Stolas sing a song about feeling like he meant nothing to Blitz, which, like, ouch, that scene was pretty intense. And it's here that we finally see Blitz exhibiting a reaction untainted by angry ranting, if only for a second. He then ends up having pivotal conversations with both Stolas and Verosika at this party, so let's start with the Stolas convo. So it's during this exchange that Blitz finally has a moment of true vulnerability and admits to Stolas that he really did want to apologize to him, and only him. However, he also pulls a classic disorganized attachment move of pushing him away yet again by letting Stolas know that he is better off without him, talking about his lower status as an imp, and asking how anybody could care for him. This is where Stolas drops my absolute favorite line of the entire episode, other than the one where Blitz apologized to someone for fucking their mom because he thought they were their dad.
There is a crowd full of people here who cared so much they throw an entire fucking party about hating you every year. Do you know how much you have to care to do something as stupid as that?
Like, look, I know Stolas is pretty freaking plastered here, but those are some bars. He's also lucid enough to admit that all he ever wanted was someone to care about him, someone who would make big sweeping gestures for him, you know, all that romantic stuff. And I think Blitz's body language speaks for itself. I think he wishes he could have given that to Stolas. Now, we then see a hot demon guy swoop Stolas up, much to Blitz's perceived chagrin, and we soon transition to the conversation between Blitz and Veronica. When Blitz first approaches Vero upstairs, they of course have to begin with some acid-tongued banter for a while because it's them two, they hate each other, da-da-da-da. But we soon find out that Blitz exploded at and left Veronica over her saying she loved him. Yes, really, as if this man needed any more proof that he is a damaged attachment system. We discover that she's not actually this cheating whore, whatever Blitz likes to call her, but a person who dared to care deeply for him. Shockingly, Blitz says,
I don't want to be this way. Not forever.
And I really have to include that clip itself because you can feel the sincerity, at least in my opinion. Let me know if you guys agree, but I really do think that we're seeing the seeds of awareness sprout in Blitz at long last. As the two observe Stolas and Mr. Hottie dancing, Vero tells Blitz that change will start with him being happy for Stolas, even if that means him moving on from Blitz. After she leaves him with some very appetizing looking piece of fake heart cake, Blitz leaves. The episode ends with the miserable heart-sinking shot of his head on his steering wheel as it blares in the background to music. Yeah, guys, this one got me. It really did. As a therapist, I've worked with innumerable people who have experienced similar issues with loving themselves and trying to love others. I also have a bit more experience than I'd like to admit being on the other end of disorganized and avoidantly attached people. It's crazy because I almost feel like I'm a magnet for them, honestly. I myself vacillate between secure at my best and outrageously anxiously attached at my worst, with boisterous emotions and open desires and communication, and yet I tend to attract those who start sweating if I even imply a relationship forming. Now, the whole thing about these opposites attracting is a whole different video, but what I'm trying to emphasize is that this shit hits real home for me, and I mean real home. I dare say, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the dude, I have often been the Stolas in my past relationships. Damn it, I hate saying that. Because I also tend to attract people who think someone like me could never love them. And let me tell you, it feels awful. So in that regard, I actually do really feel for Stolas. Now, I've said it once and I'll say it again. What Blitz and Stolas really need is a fucking therapist, not other people to hook up with. But in absence of that pipe dream, I can only hope that both of these dudes genuinely take time to develop their identities and sense of self-love outside of their relationship to each other. I really loved the authenticity we saw from both of them, especially Blitz during this episode, and now all we can do is wait to see what happens in, Ghost Fuckers. And for those of you watching who happen to resonate a little too closely with disorganized attachment, please don't fret. Recognition of your own attachment style is an amazing first step to learning how to become more securely attached in your relationships. So I strongly recommend taking an attachment quiz or working with a therapist if you can on figuring out your attachment style. There's also a super awesome book called The Power of Attachment by Diane Poole that I highly recommend if you're wanting to learn more about attachment in general. And as always, I'll try to link some resources below so that you can all get to learning, I guess. Well, shit, guys. We got 4 months until the next episode, and in the meantime, I guess we just get to keep overanalyzing the hell out of all these ones that have already been released. So, you know what? Love that for us. And just let me know whatever you want me to talk about in the comments next. Obviously, would love to talk about this episode in the comments here. You know I love a good yap about that. And I'm looking forward to hearing all of your thoughts. Thanks so much, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.